Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I am your ever Shorty, and we're doing something a bit different today. Turns out pretty much everything else that I want to be able to read or review this week is either issue 1 of volume 2 of something that I've already reviewed the volume 1 of, or it's a one-shot, or it's an anthology with lots of different stories in, and all those things are just boring to review and take far too long. So, taking a bit of a break from my usual, and I'm going to be reviewing the Fearsome Dr. Fang, published by TK Comics, written by I think Zay is how you pronounce it, I do apologise, Sei Chun, and Mike Weiss. Right. There's a lot of reasons why I wanted to read and review this one. First off, TKO Comics is a company which I've been trying to get stuff in for a while. We never had like a load of people ask, but Garth Ennis did Sarah with them, and a lot of people were asking about that one. And when they eventually became available, I kind of went a bit off at it and just ordered one of everything that I could do. There's some Western stuff coming out later, which I really want to read. We've already sold out of Sarah, and I'm currently reading another one called Red Fork, I believe, because this one really grabbed me straight away. And the reason it did is the title, The Fearsome Dr. Fang. Now, that is quite evocative. In my head, it does two things. The first thing it does is make me think of big, over-the-top action-adventure kind of things. It's going to be full of thrills and spills, and this absolutely is. I mean, it involves mysticism and science and history and mythology. It's full of like really interesting characters playing off tropes, which I really quite like, rather than just being the tropes. But the real reason, if I am absolutely 100% honest, the real reason I picked up and read this one is find it tricky to very quickly just be like, yeah, I'm okay with a book called The Fearsome Dr. Fang, because that title has a lot of connotations. If you're going to make a book called The Fearsome Dr. Fang, so they just fell off the shelf over there, you are going to do one of two things. You're either A, going to do a pastiche of classic pulp fiction, which is probably going to do a racism at some point, because if all you're doing is a pastiche without really being aware of what's going on, you're probably going to be doing Orientalism. You may not even realise you're doing it. You may be doing colonialism without realising it, but it's going to be problematic to read. The only other thing you can do is be fully aware of that, absolutely engage with it, use it to turn the story on its head, and play with the tropes and expectations that everyone's going to come in if they are wanting just a kind of old school Oriental adventure. This book does it effectively. I shouldn't be surprised. The author's name there should have given me a clue that this was not going to just be a pastiche. This was going to be interesting and it was going to have some fun with it. And it does. But it doesn't just do that. All the things I mentioned earlier are in here. The action adventure is fantastic. The characters are clearly riffing off ideas. We've got the fearsome Dr. Fang, who isn't a fearsome villain whatsoever. He's a very intelligent, genius inventor who uses his inventions to play on everyone's fear of Chinese mysticism, and him being a villain because of Yellow Peril, to basically steal weapons of mass destruction, terrorizing people as he does because it helps his image, but mostly just doesn't, well, not mostly, entirely just to keep these out of the hands of people who might use them to hurt other people. We've got the female treasure hunter who comes across as being very cold and calculating and very driven to just get the treasure, and that's all she cares about, happy to use her feminine wiles. But by the end of it, you realise she's very calculated, but she's not cold at all. She actually just understands the way people are going to look at her and how they're going to treat her, and uses this to actually keep stuff going. She manages to slow things down. She keeps herself alive to keep herself in a position where she can help other people down the line. She kind of uses her damsel in distress status to good effect, which is quite nice to see based on some other non-fiction stuff I'm reading at the moment. It's a very nice, welcome change. And then you've got the beefcake Irish heavy drinking cop, who's the kind of hero you'd expect in a lot of these things. And this has a big riff on Big Trouble in Little China for me, which is a fantastic story. Everyone should go and watch that movie. It's amazing. Where he clearly thinks he's the hero of this. He's this lone guy who's out for revenge because his brother got killed by the fearsome Dr. Fang, or so he thinks. But he's not the hero at all. He's a useful guy, and he's actually better than you think he's going to be. But he's better in ways that have nothing to do with him being a big beefy Irish cop. He's actually just really quite cool at what he does. And all these come together in ways that are absolutely fantastic. They have so much fun. I keep going over this point, but it is worth saying. Any expectation you got on Orientalism and colonialism when this kind of story would be taking place, be prepared to enjoy that kind of storytelling, because it's going to make you look at it from a different point of view, and it's not going to take any swipes at low-hanging fruit. It's actually telling a really cool story, and it looks fantastic as well. I cannot stress enough the style of the artwork of this one is very much in my wheelhouse. It is kind of low and dirty in places, and it's kind of scratchy, which I really like, but it's done because it's trying to emulate comic books from an earlier time period without ever actually sacrificing quality. There are some huge, amazing double-page spreads of wide panoramic shots or really intense action going on. The emotion and the dynamism and the colouring, honestly, I love it. I'm glad this is the first one I picked up. It's kind of weird, my reasoning for picking it up, as you've already understood by now, but I'm so glad I did, and it has made me go and read some other stuff in this publishing house, and I would recommend people giving them a try. If this is just like one of what they're doing, yeah, go and see what else they've got up their sleeve. I don't think I'm going to be disappointed, and I hope you won't be either. That's it for me for this week, though. I'm done until Tuesday now. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.